underneath your ballot is just a plain piece of paper, and we put a pencil in there. So if you want to jot down questions or put down any information that we're giving, we are going to be giving a good bit of information today. So if you have questions, if you want to just jot it down, we'll do our best to answer everything for you, or at least these board members will be. I'm not one. So first of all, I wanted to talk about our website. I put covenant, that's not what I meant. Just scratch through that. We were not really talking about the covenant, we're talking about the website. Does anybody here have problems accessing it? Carol does.
Website?
Yeah,
Sandy does, I do.
we do.
Janet
does.
and Tommy do.
I don't.
We are paying to have the website managed for us, so we make a monthly payment for that. If it's not working properly, we need to find out who we need to get in touch with. So if you just let us know if you're having trouble. The rest of you, do you access it on a regular basis?
No.
Okay. That's kind of what I thought. And I have tried, when I sent out the information about this meeting, I had no idea how many people would actually see it. I have everybody's, that's why we were getting current good emails for everybody, because I've got all the emails, I think, for most everybody in a group that I can send out information, and that will come via J.J. McDougall, and I will always put the subject as Mountain View. But if you're like me, you don't open emails if you don't know where they came from. So I want everybody to know that if you get something like that, that's us trying to give you some information. And as we go through things today, you're going to find out that there's going to be information we're going to be needing to give you between now and probably the first of the year, right, Joe? Wherever, right?
Right.
Yeah. So we may have some things changing, and we will need to get that out to you. So please, we'll try to get it on the website. Right now, I can put it in as an announcement, probably put it in as a discussion, but we can't put it in right now as an administrative thing. We don't have that access, but we'll be getting it pretty soon. We have a Facebook page. Joe, what is it?
Mountain View at Pickwick.
Just type in Mountain View at Pickwick. Joe is our resident photographer, for those of you who don't know him, and you can't tell by looking here. And he puts in lots of pictures of the events that we have, plus he takes pictures around the neighborhood when we decorate for Christmas, if we do anything at Easter, Patriotic Day, so he'll have a lot of that. And I talked with him briefly last night about getting us to set up for a Facebook group, which would be a private group. You would have rules that you'd have to follow, and it would be via administrative access or permission only, so it would just be us. But that would be a really good way for us to get information out. Like yesterday I had somebody say, you need to be careful when you're walking. My husband goes and walks down the woods in the very back, and she said we saw a big family of wild pigs. So if you have that kind of information, you can just stick it on the website and people would get notifications, and that way we would get information out very quickly.
On the Facebook page.
Not on the Facebook page, but if we get a group,
Yeah.
we could do it that way. So it would everybody, I know some people here aren't on Facebook, and so that would exclude them, but we're just trying to find as many ways as possible to keep in touch, because I know not everybody lives here. You're not here all the time, particularly in the winter. You know, most people tend to come more summer months than they do winter months. So Joe and I have also talked about getting a newsletter out. I had one that I created, but it wouldn't let me send because it said the file was too big. So we're going to be working together to try to get that taken care of. So again, that will come through that J.J. McDougall. So if you see it, it's going to be information or a newsletter or something like that. And I don't know, maybe by the first of the year, by the time we get that going, but we are doing our very best to work on that. Any questions or input that anybody has about communication? Okay. Now I'm going to turn it over to Joe. He's going to, if you look at the second page, first page, second page, that you have on the right-hand side, he's going to
If he can
update
get
us
up.
on our sewer, and then for those of you who don't know, he's going to give you the history of why we are updating it.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Joe Burns. We live at 61 Cumberland. We built our
I
house.
don't think they can hear you.
No, you're gonna have to get over here. If you want a microphone, we got one.
No, in 2007, and we've been here 13 years and love it. I've been on the board since the middle of the summer. Primarily the reason we came on the board, and I'm talking about myself and Tommy and Jim and Carol, was an issue, one of the issues that we faced. And if you'll turn to this page, draft about the sewer, if everybody will turn to that, and it does say draft, and this is a draft. Now there are changes on this letter, but I'm just going to go through this. I'm going to kind of read it and go over the changes, and then if you have questions, I'll be glad to answer those, or we will be glad to answer those. Your team has been working on solving an issue which occurred when Pickwick Pines was sold at bankruptcy to Ricky Davis. At that time, the HOA, purchased Phase 8 from Pickwick Pines. All assets for the sewer, all assets were included in that purchase from Pickwick Pines for us, with exception of the infrastructure of the sewer line. And that kind of got overlooked and became a problem, a severe problem. So we want everything in here, correct me if I'm wrong, anybody, except for the infrastructure for the sewer. And as I said, that was overlooked. It became a big problem. During this period, the HOA, which is us, we've been maintaining the sewer for the last several years. And this maintaining the sewer has cost us over $13,000. And Jim can maybe elaborate a little bit further on about how that money was allocated. But we spent $13,000 of our funds to maintain the sewer system, which actually doesn't belong to us, but without throwing anyone under the bus. So that became a huge problem. And also, we were not paying any electrical bills for the pumps, and I think there are 3 pumps, right?
Four.
4 pumps, which are running $125 a month.
No, not quite that much.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we got a bill from Ricky for $12,000 for electricity to keep the pumps up. We're not paying that. We're not obligated to. We legally don't have to pay it, and we're not going to pay it. When Mr. Davis, and I'm referring to Ricky Davis across the street, I've never met him. I'm sure he's a nice person. They're doing a pretty good job over there. Applied for a license to service our side. It came to the attention of the Public Service Commission down in Jackson. When this occurred, if you'll follow along on the letter, the Public Service Commission and the Attorney General's office got involved. He needs a license to do this, and that's one of the things that had to be done, is go through these hoops and jump over those. After numerous meetings, dialogue and conference calls with the Public Service Commission, the Attorney General's office, Mr. Davis, the management team, and our attorney, Mr. Akins, who is down in Ripley, and the attorney, Mr. Ballou, for Pickwick Pines. The matter has been, in this draft, it says, has been resolved per the following. So it's been tentatively resolved per the following. And let me bring you up to date there. The 2 lawyers got together, the PSC was involved, it floated around, and what happened is the 2 lawyers agreed in principle, orally, to agree to go forward with allowing Mr. Davis to have a license for both sides. Now where that is right now is That was legally sent to Mr. Ballou from our attorney, copying the Public Service Commission and the Attorney General's office. And Mr. Akins came to us and asked us if the management team would approve that. And we discussed that at length and felt like that was the opportune or the best outlook for us as a homeowners association. So we agreed to that. It was 5-0 vote. We all agreed to that proposal. That proposal has been signed by Mr. Akins, has been okayed by your management team, which is the 5 of us, and has been sent to Mr. Ballou. Now, once he signs that, that will become solid, and it will occur. We don't know. If you'll notice, I'll get to that in just a moment. Effective 1st of January 2021, that's not true. Effective approximately January the 1st. We're waiting right now for that to work, for that proposal to work its way through the lawyer, Mr. Ballou, for Ricky Davis, Pickwick Pines. If they okay with that, and they've okayed it, they have agreed to it orally, if they agree to it legally and get it signed off, then what will happen, Mr. Davis will get a temporary license to provide the sewer, to maintain, provide the sewer for Pickwick Pines and Phase A. Under this license, Mr. Davis will maintain, which means he takes care of all the repairs, errors, construction, or whatever might occur. And this, folks, this is a really good thing. This sewer system could cost us, I'll refer over here to Mr. Jim McDougal, a lot of money in repairs. Matter of fact, it's cost us $13,000. Now, when that happens, we're going to start getting a sewer bill. And all of you, I'm sure, have lived more than one place. In Germantown, our sewer bill is $75 a month. And, you know, so we're going to start getting a sewer bill when this thing has worked its way through. A fair and equitable sewer bill as okayed by the Public Service Commission. And that charge will be under the PSC. This paragraph here has been a tenuous and time-consuming issue. It's mostly taken up all of our time since the 5 of us came on the board back in June, July, and has been very tenuous. And what we have done, in your best interest, we feel in our best interest, we've brought it to the best solution available, which is what is going to happen. So we're not responsible for the electricity for any of the pumps. We're not responsible for any of the maintenance of the sewer. They have to take care of all of that. That's the upside. The downside, we're going to get a sewer bill. Now, in the past day, I have talked to some folks on the other side, and they have received information, and this is not gospel, that they're going to start getting a sewer bill. So at one time, the sewer bill, as I understand it, and I don't have solid evidence on this, is their sewer bill was included in the $2,200 or whatever, $2,250 Homeowners Association fee they paid over there. But now they're going to start getting a sewer bill, and rumor has it it's going to be $35 a month. But that's a rumor, and I can't substantiate that. So we think that what we did is we brought a potential very, very serious issue to fruition. And yeah, we're going to start paying a sewer bill. Well, we should anyway, you know. Now that sewer bill, where I live in Germantown, is based on water consumption. And I don't know about, you know, where all of y'all live, or where, you know, that's customarily, your sewer bill is based on how much water you use. Can't do that here because short coaling water is totally separate from the sewer. So that's it. We think we did a really good job of bringing a horrible issue to fruition. And with that, I'll take any questions. Sandy.
Joe, if we have a problem with the pump and it has to be replaced or anything like that, is anybody besides over there going to look at it and approve it replaced one once before, and we ended up having to, that's when we started doing it ourselves because it wasn't done right. So is anybody going to, from the Public Service Commission, going to check it and see if it was done properly?
That's a great question. I'm going to say yes. They will. This is an environmental protected thing, you know, the sewer. They are going to sign this, and when they sign it, they're responsible for everything over here, and that means that they've got to replace it. And if they don't, then I'm going to assume, I can't guarantee this, and I'll ask my buddy Tommy about the PSC. They can't let that pump go not fixed. Tommy?
Can't do that.
Yeah.
It's a violation of, well, for one thing, health code with EPA. Sandy, the ones working on these pumps and this whole thing revolves around the Public Service Commission granting this license. It actually won't be granted to Pickwick Pines. It'll be North Tishomingo County Utility Company. It'll be a separate entity. They own, or they, but Mr. Davis will own part of that, or all of it, I don't know. But they will operate as a utility, separate
Okay.
from the management part.
Thank you, Tommy. I left that out. I appreciate that. Others?
So the bill we get each month will be just a separate bill on its own, right? It won't be
Yes.
combined?
That's my understanding.
Will it be coming from the Public Commission or from
It'll
them?
be from North Tishomingo Utility Company.
Okay.
Which is them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I feel real sure that once we start getting the bill, there'll be information on there so that if we do start having a problem, you'll have information and who to contact if we have a problem.
Which is why we need for y'all to check everything we send to you, because things may progress, and we need for you to have access to that information.
We want to be more transparent, and I'm not going to speak for the incoming board, but I am going to, as a homeowner, ask them to be transparent with issues, because this is an issue I didn't know existed, and it's a very serious issue. And we don't want these things coming up, popping up. Going forward, I hope the new board will allow it, and I'm sure they will.
Will this be, with the fee, will it be a set fee, or can it go up and down each month?
Anything can go up and down.
All that I know is fair and equitable service charge. That's an excellent question too, because I asked the question myself to Tommy. Why we're here 50% of the time. Some people are never here. Some people are here 10 days a year, and some people are here all the time, use a lot of water.
Right.
So why is it fair for me to pay the same that other people? But at this point in time, there's no answer to that I can think of.
We're not metered. They don't have any
There's
way
no
of
way to
metering.
meter the
Right.
usage.
Will they check something in the water? Cause they come and check my, where my water is turned off, you know, out the.
That's Short Coleman.
That's Short Coleman. That's a water thing.
That's who supplies our
Oh,
water.
okay.
Short Coleman does not treat the water. That's going to be done by North Tishomingo.
But now, they would know what the water consumption was, wouldn't
No.
they?
No.
Tishomingo
Short
won't.
Coleman knows, but they cannot tell North Tishomingo, because that's a privacy issue.
Well, then the water consumption probably won't make
It'll
it
be-
go down like it was.
The way I understand it, it'll be a set, uniform cost to both sides.
And Tommy, it's my understanding that that fee is not necessarily set by them.
No.
No,
It's
that
set
goes
by
through
the
the
Public
Mississippi Public Service Commission, who is working for the consumer.
Okay,
That's their
Yeah, they're
Their
advocates.
thing.
They are advocates for us. They are not advocates for these owners over here.
So
They're
whatever
advocates
fee,
for us.
whatever that number is, they have to approve it.
Yeah, we don't
Have a
want,
seat. Pull up
we
a
don't want
chair.
Ricky Davis taking advantage of us by charging us anything he feels like we ought to be charged.
Right.
That's why the Mississippi Public Service Commission is involved. They will be you know, they'll be looking out for us and determining what is a fair and equitable fee to charge us with.
Any other questions? All right, thank you. And I have one thing to say that I don't know whether Janet has on the agenda or not. I'm on the PPR website, and I got an email last night. The Tishomingo County Electric Corporation is going to have fiber optic for them, and on their map it shows us by the end of the year you can get a gig that's 1,000 megabytes per second for $80 a month. That's lightning fast. So that will help us immensely on the internet. With that, I'll turn it over to.
Well, okay.
Yeah, we got AT&T.
Thank you, Joe. I'm going to turn it. I think the next thing on our agenda is financial, and Jim knows all about that. So I'm going to turn that over to him. And if you can't hear him, please let us know, because we do have the microphone. We can use that if we need to. You ought to be able to hear him.
Yeah, I talk a little bit louder than either one of them. Here, what's the time out? I gotta get this off.
I
Thank you,
just
Joe.
want to say I appreciate all the work going into that
Yeah, I
sewer
agree.
issue thing, because I know it wasn't an easy thing to come to a solution.
Well, that's one, and I appreciate you saying that, because that's one of our,
Joe.
it's one,
Very
particularly me, that's
important.
been one of my big things I got on the board is to be transparent and to let people know what's going on, so that, you know, folks know stuff, they know why we do things, they know how money gets spent, you know.
That's why we want your email address, because like some of you don't live here all the time, and the only way you're gonna know what's going on up here is for us to send you that email.
Right.
The website has been such a horrendous thing to try to work with that we gave up on it and decided that, well, we would try to keep in touch with y'all and let y'all know about our meetings and stuff by sending it directly to your email. So that's why Janet was saying to be sure anytime you see email coming from JJ McDougal that really is Mountain View. That's us trying to get in touch with you. Hopefully, eventually, we will have another website, or else straighten out the one we've got so that it's usable and usable for everybody. I'm the dumbest person in the world as far as, you know, the internet and stuff's concerned. So it's got to meet my needs, or it's no good. So believe me, if I can use it, then y'all will be able to use it. So.
Don't bet on that.
I don't know.
Even
Don't
saying-
bet on that.
Oh, well, try.
All right, we ready? All right, I'm Jim McDougal. We live right there, and that's Janet. She's my wife, and I'm on the board right now, and running for board again this time. So, anyway, if y'all look on, and just to add something to what Joe was saying about the sewer thing, you know, we've been up here for all this time. We've never paid a sewer fee. And that's because they didn't have a license to charge us one. That's the only reason we hadn't paid it, believe me. And they had some ideas about how they wanted to do it, and then still stick us with all the maintenance and things. And in our dealings with them, and us getting involved in the whole process, and the Public Service Commission being involved in it, that idea was nixed right quick. So once they get a license to do this, all that maintenance, electricity, everything's gonna be on them. So we'll have a fee, we'll have a sewer bill, but as an association, we won't be responsible for any of that. And the 13,000 he talked about was just replacing pumps. That doesn't include the electricity we've been paying. Anyway, if y'all look on the third page right there, that's a statement from our CPA, Judge Vance. that he puts out, and if you'll notice, it's just from the first of this year, first of this calendar year, and it's really it's really an income tax for income tax basis. So he's including depreciation and things like that in there that's not really, doesn't have anything to do with our operating budget. And so anyway, there's that. One of the items in there, if you'll notice, is $900 for trash removal, which we don't do that anymore. That was a bill that Jim turned in when he was collecting some trash, and that went from the end of June last year through March of this year. So that was 9 months of doing it, and we were paying him $100 a month to do it. So that's what that is. That's not one of our expenses anymore. But anyway, this is like I said, this is a financial statement from our CPA, and it's really for tax purposes. And if you look, you know, we don't, as an LLC, because all of us are part owners of an LLC, and we don't make any money, so we don't owe no taxes. But all this stuff has to be filed, and you know, IRS has to get involved because we are an LLC. So anyway, all right. Y'all can peruse that if you want to at some point, but if you'll look at the next page is an operating budget, and that's really more something that is of interest to us. It shows on there what our 20, and this right here, this is a year-long thing, because I went back to the end of September last year to the end of September this year. So this is a year-long, these are year-long numbers. And the first segment there is what we spent this year, this fiscal year. And if you look, we got our income from maintenance fees, and this doesn't have anything to do with the house note that some of us are still paying, you know, for when we bought. This is strictly our $950 a month maintenance fees. A year. I'm sorry, $950 a year maintenance fees. And a lot of these, most of these expenses are pretty standard. I can go back for 3 years and they don't change very much. For the water, the electric, the mowers, whatever. Now, and if you look down there, our total expenses, and it shows a surplus of about $21,000 between what we bring in and what we put out. Now, that's just for standard stuff. Now, just below that, our additional 2020 expenses, we did this capital improvement project over here with these culverts and sodding and backfill and all that. That was a $17,000 project. We also got a bill from the attorney just recently for $3,100, but that's attorney fees going back to December of 2018. So he had not sent us a bill in all that time, and that goes back through several things, but the majority of that is dealing with these sewer issues. So we don't show much of an actual surplus for this past year, but anyway, there you go. The balance right there as of 9/30/20, that's how much we've actually got in the bank. So that's a pretty good sizable little chunk there that we've got in the bank for, you know, whatever. Down below that, I've got a proposed budget.
Jim, can I add something?
Yes, sir.
The $3,300 attorney fee, about 90% of that fee deals with.
Pretty self-explanatory, and it's all pretty standard because it's about the same thing every year. Now, down there at the bottom, anybody that uses this pool very much, folks that use it much have already noticed that you're already starting to see a little bit of rebar showing through on that stuff. So this pool does need to be resurfaced. I haven't gotten any kind of quotes yet or any kind of real specific ideas of it, but I have looked some stuff up on it. And nowadays they use a material that's a lot better than old gunite that they used for years and years on these pools, and it's something that holds up way longer. It is a lot better material. And just a guess, and this is a wild guess on my part based on just some research I did online, but probably $6,000 or so, maybe a little bit more, to resurface this pool. And then once we do that, it should be good to go for 20 years, you know.
One of our board members had this done on his pool, and he said 12 years later the stuff was still just as good as new.
Yeah. The other things that we're looking at, and these are things, the surplus that we've got every year, we're going to start putting it in funds, in capital improvement funds, to build up, to start doing some things, some larger projects. And of course the biggest other project that needs to be done has to do with the roads around here. And we've got some pretty sizable dips, as everybody probably knows. We've already had an incident where, you know, somebody kind of tripping on these dips and stuff. And of course, before we can resurface or anything else, all that's got to be dug out and actually fixed, because what those dips are is over sewer lines that have kind of settled. So those things need to be fixed. Some of these places that started degrading almost as soon as we got it done before. And I have had a paving contractor out here, and I was hoping he would give me some kind of rough numbers before our meeting today, but he hadn't sent it to me yet. But I think he will. But we talked about what needs to be done with the roads, and of course, everything has to start off with some patching and some fixing. They've got a product that they use that he called Road Saver. That's about a quarter of an inch topping. It has to be put down with a paving machine, with a squeegee machine. But he said that would, they'd fill in the cracks and fix the things, and then they'd put that stuff down. And he said that would last for a good 10 years or so, and be in good shape for about 10 years. And of course, then we'd be looking at repaving again. I don't know what that costs. He's going to send me something on it. He said that just a rough number, putting an 1.5 inch top and a paving down out here, probably in the $80,000 range. He said it's about $150,000 a mile. We got about a half a mile road. So obviously that's not something that we have enough surplus to do this year. But that's the reason that we're going to put aside a capital improvement fund that we will grow to where once it comes time to actually do repaving out here, we're not going to have to hit everybody up for additional fees to pay for it. The idea is to have that set aside and be able to pay for it out of what we've got set aside. Okay.
Do we need to do any patching until we get to that point, though?
Well, that and of course that'll come out of of our surplus for the year, because what I've showed right there is just standard expenses. So anything like the patching, fixing the holes, resurfacing the pool, all that comes out of that 21,000 or so surplus that we have in the year. And of course, the more we spend out of that, the less we have to put into our capital improvement fund.
I think he's actually talking about doing this other thing where we do the patching and get the roads fixed, and then putting that half-inch topping. The 75,000 or 80,000 was not for that.
No,
It was for fully repaving everything. But if
Yeah.
we do it the other way, we're hoping we're going to get a lower bid for that. The man seemed to indicate that that would cost us less, but last us for
Considerably
another
less.
10 years.
Yeah. Now this is the guy that I'm talking to is not the person that put this road down originally. It was put down and almost immediately started degrading and having some problems.
We put
And
it down too early. They did it in like March. They're supposed to wait for warmer weather before they do it.
well, and this guy, I think, and look, before we did anything like this, and here's another issue too. Before we do anything like this, we will get competitive bids, and we will talk to more than one contractor. We're not just going to go with some favored contractor.
Hey,
We will get competitive bids before we do any large-scale thing like this, including resurfacing the pool, including fixing roads, including any of that kind of stuff. And we'll be very transparent with everybody about how we did this.
I noticed the guy who bought the house next door to us down there, I think, like 16 Mountain View.
Yeah, he's a paving contractor.
Yeah, I think so. He's one of the bigger ones in Memphis.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we talked to him once, and he said he won't come up here, but we'll see.
We'll see.
Y'all
Know
can
some of the
sweet talk him.
details of-
Yeah, he might tell you about what it should cost us.
Well, I will definitely get all the
I'm not
input.
happy.
Look, you know, I was a construction specialist in a lot of things for a professional for a long number of years, and I've dealt with a lot of these things, but that don't mean I'm an expert on what it ought to cost and some of those kind of things.
And low bid's not always the best.
No,
I mean, I
that's
work
true.
for the government, I can tell you.
Yeah.
The government goes for the low bid, and you get what you pay for.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Well, that's right.
Yeah.
I mean,
How long have
this
they been in business?
what we got
How
out
long?
here for a
Yeah,
road
all
was
of
a
that.
low bid job, and we got what we paid for.
Right.
And it's been okay. I mean, it's been fine. It's been
How
serviceable.
old is this?
Huh?
How old is this pavement?
This from
About 10 years,
We didn't do it.
8.
It's since 2007,
'Cause we all had,
2008.
most of us put driveways down long before we got paid.
Yeah,
So-
we,
Big moving trucks and the garbage truck and all that. Set
Yeah.
up fairly well.
It really tore up Mountain View worse than anywhere.
Well, and here's the deal. The guy I talked to the other day, according to him, now he's selling his own business.
Right.
But he asked me how old this was, and I told him. He said, "Oh no," he said, "if I was to put down topping, did a full paving job, he said it would hold up a lot better than this for 25 years." So, now that's what he said, and he's a contractor selling his own stuff, but I think I believe that
Well,
because
it's not like a major road or anything. It's just
no, this is not a major road. It doesn't get a whole lot of traffic, and I have done a lot of construction and parking lots and things like that, and yeah, I know when it's done right, it will hold up that long, for sure. Anyway, my whole thing was talking about the finances here, and has anybody got any questions or anything about any of these numbers here?
Well, you might mention too, what some of our conversations have been about amenities to improve, to
Oh
enjoy our
yeah.
place.
Another thing that we talked about that's been brought up, and I haven't put a price on it yet or anything else, is coming out here and extending this slab from the pool out here, maybe about 12 feet here, putting a top on it like a pergola top, like what's over here, so we have shade and it'll be wired and stuff like that, and have a place where we can have meetings and do things, and that would be a pretty sizable square footage thing. And in a place where people can entertain and do some things rather than being all crammed up right beside the pool.
And we've
Now,
also talked about having fire pits.
yeah, and a fire pit.
And to keep, sometimes people rent their homes here, and sometimes the people that have been renting the homes have not really been the best. And so we would have a cover over the fire pits and have it so that it can't be used unless you get permission from the board, for instance, to protect, as far as liability is concerned. It would protect the homeowners association if somebody fell into the fire pit or whatever. But we're going to try to have a fire pit so we can have some more cookouts and get-togethers. We'll begin to have our get-togethers again like we've had in the past. This year has been unusual because of the coronavirus, but we're going to try real hard to get that started going again this next year when the weather starts getting nice and all. So look forward to that. And of course that'll involve a little expense, but at least we're going to have some enjoyment out of that. We'll have something to look forward to when we come up here.
Yeah, we don't want to put no fire pit out here and have some drunk college kids that are renting one of these places for the weekend come over here and have access to it. So
There'd be beer bottles,
if we put something like that out, it'll
Right, exactly, and that's the purpose in having the cover.
yeah.
Jim, for the first part of that, the entertainment center
Yeah.
and all up here, so would all this fence come down and Debbie's beautiful roses be torn down?
Not all of them.
Let me address that.
Not all of them.
Janet, all we were really talking about were some options. People have said that they would like to have an area where we could meet, because you know how we do.
Yeah.
We have, those of you who haven't been here for a long time, we have our meetings in the blazing hot summer, Memorial Day, typically 4th of July, and Labor Day. And we all squeeze in the areas around the pool where you can get a breeze. And we're
shade.
kind of all squished together. So we were hoping to, and we've talked about putting in a gazebo, maybe around this area.
Yeah.
We came up with the idea of doing this so that maybe we could also use it for the pool as well. So you would have access to this area from the pool. So it would expand the area for people who really like to come and spend time at the pool in the summer,
Yeah,
but give them a shady area. That's not written in stone.
but maybe it could just be a exit.
It would be just a gate.
We were
in
gonna
the
put a
middle
gate in
to
the middle.
get into the new.
I
Yeah,
agree
we
with-
don't have to go
Yeah.
all the way. I mean, we can keep the roses, or we could transplant the roses.
Yeah.
We aren't going to get rid of the roses, but that we just thought that might be a good place.
Yeah.
If not, we're looking at some of this other open area, but I just figured that it might work better. We're going to talk to somebody who does this.
Yeah.
Sally Stewart is on our list. She said she was going to be here today, and she's not. So I don't know exactly what
I think they're driving up.
something may have caused her not to be able to be here. But they own a landscaping business, and we were going to see if possibly they can give us some ideas about where we could put it, what it would look like, and give us some costs and so forth. It's just ideas, and all we're trying to say, and all this is going to be done by the board that you're going to be working with and electing. We've got 16 families represented right now.
Really?
We're going to have to, I'm going to put information out on the website. Hopefully people will get it with our election thing on there so that we can get as many ballots in from people as we can.
Are you our website administrator
No.
now?
No.
Gary
On
is.
that website. We're gonna do everything email right now.
Okay.
Everything being done by email
Okay.
right now.
I can put it on as an announcement. I did put it on as an announcement to remind people about this meeting today, but I can't guarantee that people are getting, are accessing it. I can't. Anytime, I can't even access the one that I put on there. Once I got on there and put it down as an announcement, I could see it, And I got the email saying that I had this information, but it then tells me my password's invalid.
That's what his does too.
And I'm like, well, it can't be invalid because I accessed the website with that password. So we need to get that kind of thing fixed. Gary's the one that has administrative access, and he'll be back, I guess, within the next week or so. And hopefully he can
He's
give
way
ac-
south.
He's
way south.
Yeah, he is way south. He's enjoying Florida right now. But that's just an idea, and these were done, the roads and the pool and coming up with some type of an additional entertainment center were actually put in things that we're wanting the board to look at as capital improvements. And we've got to get some idea of what these capital improvements are gonna cost so that we can get a timeline of when we think we might can do it and how much money we're going to have to put aside. You know, because we're also hopefully wanting the board to establish an emergency fund that we will not go into. And the board may even want to talk about, we've got an awful lot of money in a checking account. And they may want to actually talk about moving some of that, the capital improvements and the emergency fund, into an account that might earn a little bit of interest and still be available, because, you know, people keep telling us at the bank, you don't want to have that much money in a checking account because it's too easy for people to get in and drain it out. So they may want to be looking at that. But for those of you who are wanting to maybe serve on the board, those are some things that they're going to be looking at. Really is trying to get a good, solid budget established so that we know where we're going and when we might get there. And have some of these funds available if we have an emergency, and determine what might constitute an emergency, when you can use those funds, when you can't. So,
Janet,
yes, ma'am.
if we do the pavilion,
Mhm.
are we also thinking about picnic tables and stuff like that?
Yeah, we would want to put things up there. I mean, all of that is just very, very sketchy kinds of.
A wish list.
Yes, yes.
Right, that's a
Yeah,
good
but
way
it's
to put it.
something to look forward to.
I'd like to
Yeah.
add
You know?
a
Yes.
playground for the kids, you know, everybody has grandkids come up here and stuff.
Well, yeah,
Okay.
And
That's
just
a good
small,
idea.
you know, swing, slide or something, you know, just give them something else to do up here. especially
and
the pool side.
that's one of the things that we're trying to do is to get input from everybody that lives here, everybody's got a house here, whatever, about things that they would like to see done. I mean, we've imagined some things that we would like to see done, but there's probably some things that somebody would think of that I hadn't even thought of. It'd be a really good idea, you know.
Well,
So
the thing is, now that we're getting finally some younger people, I mean, for 13 years, it's been us old retired folks that maybe have a grandchild that'll come up for a day or two. But now we're getting full-timers with children.
Now
So
our
that's-
grandkids
that's-
are grown.
We're getting a different perspective than we've had
Yeah.
for 13 years.
Yeah, so that we are open to, and again, I'm not on the board, but we are open to any ideas that anybody has, because we would like to establish priorities, but I think everybody probably agrees that the roads and resurfacing the pool need to be our first priorities.
The pool.
Maintain, of course.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Am I the
He
only
got
one
done
to
it.
get into the gate? I
gotta
have to
be
do my
done.
number 3 times.
I don't know. We've got a
I've never
clicker.
had a problem.
I
don't
have
have
to,
a-
when I get in here, every time I come up here, I have to say,
You have a clicker?
no, I never have.
Or you don't have the little button thing
I've
to
never
open
had
it?
Huh,
We don't either.
We
really?
don't usually have a problem putting that.
I mean, I have to put it in 3 times. Every time
I've
anybody
heard other
comes to see
people
me,
talk
put it
about
in
that.
3 times.
We have one clicker, and so one car has a clicker and the other one doesn't, but we've never had a problem putting
I've
our
never
number
had a
in.
Problem with it's not open.
Well, I gave mine to a friend across the street because
I
mine's
didn't get
programmed into the Jeep.
Well, we'll see if we can
Gary should know.
figure out how to get you one.
You can go to
Oh,
that
really?
glass place on 72. They've got them.
How do you signal
Got a
them?
Right as you go over the overhead.
didn't change the code number, but they reprogrammed, took a lot of the codes out that wasn't being used.
Yeah.
And I think they put some more software. But we got two closing.
Yeah, they should have.
Yeah, we'll find out from him who he checked with. Another thing I'd like to see is some type of little light put on that box, because if you come in at night, it's a
Get the feel.
crapshoot.
Yeah, I've learned how to feel up and over, yeah. I start at the bottom center and go, okay.
I
boom.
started at the top and worked down.
Yeah, but and I just, you know, if I typically have the clicker in my car, so if I'm driving his car and trying to come in, I don't know where
Well,
it is.
if anybody figure out how to program, like my garage door openers got extra buttons where I could
Yeah,
program,
Yeah,
we
I
just,
don't know how to
this
do
or I
that.
can press one
we've
in.
got, you don't
Do you
know how
know
to
how to do
program your car?
I don't know how to program it to
Yeah.
Oh, that's easy.
well, you show me
I say it's
how.
easy. But we did it.
Okay,
So-
I wondered if we
Yeah,
could.
your manual will tell you how to do it.
Okay.
Normally, you just hold the clicker next to your button and push that button and this button.
I'll get you to show me later.
I didn't
So
realize
if I don't have the
people
clicker
didn't
to
have.
press the I just regular garage door openers, you know, for the garage door
Yeah.
for my garage
Okay.
at home. They've got two extra buttons on there. If I could program one of them, it'd be cool.
Yeah, that'd be great. If we could just put them in our cars, that would be
Do
wonderful.
that though, because of the security. Well, obviously, you wouldn't want anybody just
Because
driving up and.
several years ago,
Using
there's
that
phone.
I think everybody in their nanny can get in here.
Well, they
Look at
seem
the
to be
service
able to.
people
Well, isn't there a 911 can punch in and it opens anywhere?
4444.
Something. Or 1, 2, 3,
I
4.
tried that, Sandy, one time and it didn't work.
Well, it worked for me.
I mean, FedEx knows how to get in, the postal system knows how to get in, the delivery people know how to get in.
That didn't work on that.
Somebody
That didn't work on that.
down the street from me said that some guy was going around trying to sell pressure washer service, you know.
Oh yeah, his parents live across the street.
Yeah.
Well, he said that he tried to force his way in the
In
house.
fact,
on
right
purpose.
now,
Oh,
in
no.
fact, right now, we're
Got an old beat up Jeep.
gate
Yep.
before,
Yeah.
you know, when we push the
Yeah, I
button
think
to make
so.
it go up.
We can give you,
who
and
it
that's
is.
another thing I'd like to see us do. We did this once before, a long time ago, get a list of professionals that you might need to use, electricians, plumbers. We've got a guy that does a real good job with pressure washing the houses.
That's who they're talking about, though.
Yeah.
No,
The
no.
guy in the old
No,
red
no,
Jeep.
no,
No,
Oh,
he's
okay.
talking, they're talking about this guy
that
from
did
across
all-
the way over here, the guy that cleaned our gutters.
Oh,
He
that
cleaned
cleans
our
your
gutters.
gutters.
He's the
Yeah.
one that came up
got
and
a
talked
business.
to
Exactly.
us.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
And he
done
was
a
gonna
lot.
fix your air conditioner and you kept telling him there wasn't anything wrong with your air conditioner. Yeah, he did a fine job with our gutters, but Jim stood out there and watched him. the whole
Not
time.
just watched him, I kept him from falling.
Yeah.
He held the ladder.
On the ladder, yeah.
But there is a guy that does pressure washing on the houses and does a fantastic job.
Yeah.
So we can get, if we can get together with people, if you've used somebody that you think is good, just jot it down and we'll try to create a list. But we don't have personally, we don't have a complete list because we haven't used a whole lot of people. But anyone that you have, jot it down and we'll try to make a list that we can get out to everybody.
Go ahead.
Anybody else have any questions or anything before? You've got a ballot in here, Vicki. Are we gonna put your name on it?
Yeah, but I got one question first.
Okay.
I think at last year's meeting, Jim had talked about supposedly a volunteer fire department was supposed to build and be closer, and maybe, hopefully, no.
That fell through.
Yeah.
Fell
Okay.
through.
I don't think so.
That wasn't because of him. They
Right.
never followed through with it.
Right.
We have
Okay.
had mixed,
These are retirement.
of course, fortunately, nobody's ever had to call the fire
Steve
department.
did, okay.
But we have had mixed results with 911 calls. Y'all had a great result. Bob and Carol have had a great result with ambulance service. With police coming out, or the sheriff's department, we had a situation where it took them about 45 minutes and 2 or 3 phone calls before we got someone out here. And Jim has worked with our county supervisor, talked to him, worked with the sheriff's department. I don't know that they're gonna be able to fix that. It's just the way they're set up. But,
What happens is if you dial 911, it rings Hardin County.
If you're on
And
a
you
cell
talk
phone.
to
If you're
them,
on
and
a
they say,
cell
well,
phone.
we're gonna have to transfer you to, over here to Tishomingo County.
Well,
And then you may get, your phone call gets dropped, or you end up not getting anybody to answer the phone. So we have found some direct numbers that, go,
but they
For the
still
police
just
department.
get you to, they get you to Tishomingo 911.
And
They do
it
what?
still has
They
to,
get you- they
things
get-
still have to be transferred.
The ambulance
The
service,
ambulance service goes straight to Tishomingo.
Yeah.
it goes
We dial
to,
911, they answer Tishomingo, ask what the problem was, she called them, asked if we needed a fire truck with the ambulance, said no, and about 15 to 20 minutes the ambulance was there.
the
but you dial
ambulance.
911?
Yeah.
Well, they must have changed that, because at the time Bob, I had to call him or get an ambulance for him. I ended up over in Hardin County.
No, it didn't, it went straight